Scientific characters that are useful in technology. Any person who works in or studies technology needs to use scientific characters in their reports, and being able to quickly access them is definitely beneficial. So in this lesson, I'll show you how to insert scientific characters into Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and other documents. This is page 94 to 99 of your notes. We're going to look at keyboard shortcuts that are built into MS Word. There's probably more than you realize. And then ASCII and ANSI characters. We'll show you how to create your own custom shortcut keys and math autocorrect symbols. Every computer that has Microsoft Office installed will have included in it a variety of fonts, and these three in particular are probably most useful to those in technology, particularly the symbols font group. There's some additional interesting font collections like Wingdings and Webdings. We'll look at those briefly. You may find that you have additional font groups on your computer that are not standard with Office. For example, on my computer I have a group of weather symbols and two sets of fonts that are actually minute clip art of animals, and some math symbols, and these are not part of Office, and I suspect they were installed with a Corel package that I installed at some time, because these are not on my laptop. In any case, you can explore those yourself. So let's start by looking at the keyboard shortcuts that are built into MS Word. So this is page 94 of your Computer Applications Notes. So on the View tab, look under Macros and click on the list arrow below it and choose to view macros. In the Macros In box, choose Word Commands. Then scroll through the list of names and choose List Commands. I could type in LIST, there they are, List Commands, and then choose Run. I'm going to choose to look at the current keyboard settings. All right, so Word displays a table, actually several pages long, of keyboard commands. And as you scroll down the list, you'll find, no doubt, that some of these you're quite familiar with, but I'm sure there are some that you haven't seen before. And I just leave it to you to decide, gee, that might be something that could save me a lot of time. For example, did you know that Alt plus equal sign opens the equation editor? I'll try it right here. Hold down the Alt key, press equal sign, there it is. You can start typing in the equation editor. You'll save yourself a couple of clicks. How about highlight? It says Control Alt H. Let's try that. I'll select this. Control Alt H. Done. Nice. What I've done personally is deleted all the entries that I didn't think were of any use to me, and I abbreviated on a single page those that I thought might be of use to me or to students, and I highlighted some that I thought maybe I'd like to make sure I remind myself to use those. So you could keep this on your desktop, you could print a copy near your computer. It's handy. So I'll leave that for you to do as much as you feel of it is useful. I want to look next at the ASCII characters and the ANSI characters. And this is older than me, and I'm old as dirt, so this goes back a long way. But basically ASCII stands for the American Standard Code of Information Interchange. Numeric sequences, keyboard sequences, have been assigned to various actions like backspace and tab, and to various characters. On the computer, these actions or characters are accessed by typing Alt plus 0 plus the decimal value, the value in the leftmost column. So Alt plus 0 plus the decimal value, and it has to be on the numeric keyboard for this to work. This will not work on the numbers that sit above the letters on your standard keyboard. So if you have a laptop, you don't have a numeric keyboard typically, you'll need to turn on the numlocks key and then holding down the Alt key, type the numbers that are embedded into the keyboard. Let me show you that. So here's a picture of my keyboard. So if I want to use these characters on my keyboard, I turn on the numlocks key here, F11, and then I can use these keys 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So as you look down this list, there's 127 ASCII characters. I don't think any of these or anything that we're interested in, they're already accessible from the standard keyboard. But there is an extended set of characters that go from 128 up to 240. You'll see, well, there's not too many to get excited about. Many of these look obscure or not useful. Alt 171 is a half, Alt 172 is a quarter. Maybe I'd use those. I don't think I have any use for these, but when I get to about Alt 224, some of these have definite use to us. Alpha, Alt 225 is beta, Alt 227 is pi, Alt 228 is uppercase sigma, Alt 229 is lowercase sigma, Alt 230 is mu, and here we have delta, here's phi. This can be useful in representing a phenyl group, C6H5, and you could type it into Word. You could type that symbol phi followed by a chloride and you'd have phenyl chloride, or an OH group and you have phenol. And here we have plus minus, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, divide by, approximately equal to, and degree symbol, and a root symbol. Now, these few here you might have use for, I think. And the nice feature about these ASCII characters is that they will print in virtually any application, in Word, in PowerPoint. Virtually any application, doesn't have to be Microsoft Word. So they're well worth a small bit of memory work. They'll serve you well. On page 96, I have an exercise for you to do. Now the table is filled in here, but on Blackboard I have one where it's not filled in. I want you just to take some time and explore the characters that are available to you in Microsoft Word. This works in Microsoft Word, not in all applications. In the leftmost purple column, we have a number that you're to type into the numeric keypad, and you do that while you're holding down the Alt key. And when you do that, you'll get the symbols that you see in the second column. For example, if you type Alt 1, you get a smiley face. Alt 2, you get a smiley face. Alt 3 is a heart, and so on as you go down the list. Now, if you type Alt plus 0 plus the same value, for example over here, Alt 241 gives plus minus. Alt 0 241 gives this symbol. Okay. You notice that not all of these have entries in them, and that's because either there was nothing generated by them or nothing that I thought was of any interest, but you go ahead and explore them for yourselves. I've highlighted a few that I thought might be of interest. And after doing this, you can decide which of these are worth making note of, copying down, and so on. And I've put beside it here the list of the Greek symbols, their names, and their characters for us to look at as you wish. So take some time and work through this. Remember, Alt plus the value in each of these cells gives you these symbols. Alt plus 0 plus the value gives you a symbol in the second column that may or may not be of use to you. So please take a couple minutes and work through that. On page 97, I want to show you how you can create your own custom shortcut keys. To do this, you want to open up the Symbols dialog box here. You can do this by clicking on the Insert tab, and then on the far right you have this symbol. Click on the list arrow here and click on More Symbols. This opens the Symbols dialog box. Now, a shortcut for this is simply Alt-I-S. Now, in the Symbols dialog box, you'll see all of the characters of any given typeface. Now, yours may not open to the symbol group, but you'll see here a list of all the types of fonts or typefaces that are installed in your computer, and you can find symbol on the list, and that's probably the most useful one for chemistry. So take a look at the symbols characters. As a backdrop, I am displaying also the list of the Greek characters and their English equivalents. It's helpful for you to be familiar with these. So here we have the uppercase Greek letters, followed by the lowercase Greek letters, many of which we use in the technologies, and a variety of other symbols that might be useful. Evolution as a gas, precipitation, degree symbol, plus minus, time sign, divided by sign, perhaps water of hydration maybe. So as you most likely know, to insert these into a document, you'd simply click on a symbol. For example, here's a delta symbol, and say insert, and then you could have delta H, whatever you happen to write. But we'd like to learn how to make shortcuts for these and speed up this process. So let me show you that now. So to create a shortcut key for capital Delta, select the symbol in the fonts group, click on shortcut key, and there's no current key assigned, so type that in, and you need to choose something that you can remember and that won't conflict with other presets. Not a concern, I'll explain. So for example, I'll put Alt-Shift-D. That's be capital D. Anytime I click Alt-Shift-D, I'll get the uppercase Greek symbol delta. So I'll click assign, and it has been assigned. If at a later time you decide, oh, I didn't want to do that, just select it and click remove, and it's gone. I'll do it again. This is Alt-Shift. That gives me capital D. And I'll say assign, and I can close this, and in my notes now I can just type on the keyboard Alt-Shift-D, and I have it. Let's do alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and I'll choose eta rather than epsilon. So notice here the first 5 Greek letters, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Now I'm not going to use epsilon because it's a short E, and we don't use it much in chemistry or science, but we do use eta for a nanometer. Here it is for milli, micro, nano. So that's used commonly. So that's a long E, so I'll use that, A, B, C, D, and E. So here it goes. It's real easy to do. I'll choose alpha, shortcut key. I'm going to choose Alt-1 and assign and close. So that'll be the first letter of the alphabet. That's easy for me to remember, Alt-1, first letter. How about beta? Let's go shortcut key. I will assign Alt-2. That's the second letter in the alphabet, and assign it and close it. And the third letter, alpha, beta, gamma over here, third letter, shortcut key. I'm going to assign it Alt-3, assign and close. Let's see, delta is the fourth letter. That's the lowercase delta, not the uppercase delta. This will be Alt-4, assign and close. And here we'll have eta for Alt-5. Shortcut key, Alt-5, and assign. So now I'll just type from the keyboard Alt-1, Alt-2, Alt-3, Alt-4, Alt-5. So that's pretty easy once you've assigned a few characters. And not to worry, if you decide that you've overwritten an existing command, you simply have to go to simply select and choose remove. Let's close this. On page 97 I have a table that lists the shortcut characters that I've saved in Microsoft Word. The first 5 we just entered, and some other ones that I use frequently. I try and pick a letter on the keyboard or a combination on the keyboard that reminds me of the Greek symbol. L for lambda, M for mu. This is the letter nu. We use it in physics to represent frequency, or with an overbar it's used in organic chemistry as an indicator of wave number, which is a measure of frequency. We have omega for ohm, capital omega, lowercase omega, pi, and the symbol for density is the Greek letter rho, R-H-O, sigma for standard deviation of a population, uppercase sigma for the summation, d for degree, and so on. Shift D is the delta symbol, and so on down the list. So you pick out ones that you think might be useful. What I do is I actually have this printed and beside my computer, and when I'm typing, I just occasionally need to refresh myself and look at it. It's a big time saver. Before we leave this, I want to look at the other symbol groups that might be useful to us. Again, if we go to the symbols dialog box, Alt-I-S opens that. So here, in addition to the symbols font group, there are some called wingdings. Probably easier to type it in. There it is, wingdings. Now, are those useful? Well, some of them might be. They look interesting. Wingdings was so popular, they had a sequel. It's called Wingdings 2. And I see it became a trilogy. There's Wingdings 3, but like most trilogies, they seem to have lost their freshness as they go along. There's also a group called Webdings. So quite a variety of symbols, easily accessed by keystrokes, and they might be useful to you at some point. Okay, so we've looked at the built-in keyboard shortcuts, the ASCII characters, how to create custom shortcuts, and now I want to show you the math autocorrect symbols. A lot of people aren't aware of what they are, but they're actually quite useful. So the math autocorrect symbol information is found on page 98. To insert a math autocorrect symbol, you type one of the following codes followed by a delimiter. A delimiter is a space bar or the enter key. And these symbols are normally typed in equation editor. But to insert a math autocorrect symbol outside of an equation, you need to select Use Math Autocorrect Rules outside of Math Regions. That's a checkbox in the Autocorrect dialog box. Let's find that. So if you go to File and then Options, choose Proofing, and in the Autocorrect group, go to Autocorrect Options. In the Autocorrect dialog box, choose the second tab, which is called Math Autocorrect. And then you want to make sure that you select this box, Use Math Autocorrect Rules outside Math Regions. And you'll see a list here of the symbols that will be inserted when you use these various keystroke combinations. Some of them are quite useful. Let's take a look. So on page 98, I have a table for you to fill in the symbols that correspond to these commands. So you start each one with this character. It's a slash. And then angle, followed by the space bar or an enter key, and you get the symbol that corresponds to that name. I'm going to let you fill them in. So slash, then the name, and the space key will give you the appropriate symbol. Give it a try. Alright, so if you had a chance to fill in this table, you'll see the various symbols that are generated. Some of these you'll see be quite useful. This table is on Blackboard for you to fill in. I recently noticed a symbol for an equilibrium arrows that looks better than this one. So let's delete this and try this one with me. So this will be L-R-H-A-R. So that looks like an equilibrium arrow. And perhaps this means left-right hand arrow. But that's a useful one certainly for chemistry, and I don't know where else you'd get that from. What about using special characters in Excel? Well, it's certainly more difficult than in Word. If you recall, the ASCII characters work in any program. Recall that Alt 229 on the numeric keypad is sigma, Alt 230 is mu, Alt 241 is plus minus. Alt 248 is the degree symbol, and Alt 251 is the root symbol. There aren't too many more I'm aware of that are useful. The other way you can bring Greek characters in Excel is if you know the English equivalent. So for example, lowercase d in English is lowercase delta in Greek. And uppercase d in English is uppercase delta. Here's lowercase r, and in Greek that's the symbol rho. So any of these can be translated. If we type the English equivalent, select it, then go up into the font group and type symbol and hit enter, and makes the change for us, not in the formula bar, but we see it in the cell. Another way we could do it is select it in the formula bar and hit Control 1, which opens up the font panel, and then Alt F is the font selected here. Notice it's selected, and then type in symbol. So it's about the same amount of work. And lowercase r, Control 1, Alt F, type in symbol. And you could do that with any of the other English letters that have a Greek equivalent. What about superscripting and subscripting? Also tedious in Excel, no real easy way. Pretty much have to type out the expression. Let's say I want to superscript the +2, select them in the formula bar, and then as you see here, Control 1, Alt E. Alt E, notice the E is underlined in superscript, and then say OK. And that'll superscript it here. And for subscripting, it's similar. Control 1. This will be Alt B for subscripting. Alt B, and then enter. And just continue the process. Control 1, Alt B, and enter. And for -3, superscript it, Control 1, Alt E, and enter. Tedious. Control 1, Alt B, and enter. And that's about it for Excel. So that's it for this lesson on using special characters in technology. An explanation of how to use Equation Editor begins on page 100, but that video is posted separately. Thanks for watching.